We're kicking off today with WWE, and since the post-WrestleMania edition of Raw, there's been plenty of glitches and QR codes on WWE TV that have left fans deciphering clues. It's all but guaranteed at this point that these cryptic messages and videos are leading to the return of Uncle Howdy, and now this mystery has taken an even more bizarre turn. Yesterday evening, WWE's Twitch account was unexpectedly hacked, and the hour-long video saw plenty of references, including a clip from The Fiend's therapy session. If the therapist looks familiar, it's because she appeared in a missing persons poster that fans could see if they deciphered the clues from the latest edition of Raw. The therapist's name is also of note, as the missing persons poster says she is called Wendy Lucho, which you may have already noticed is an anagram of Uncle Howdy. The end of the video featured the therapist speaking to somebody off screen, perhaps Howdy himself or one of his followers, with the message, "You will understand us," appearing on screen. As for when Uncle Howdy and his faction will appear, that's yet to be known, though there has been speculation that the group could make its arrival at King and Queen of the Ring. With every passing week, more clues come out about the planned faction, and what did you make of the latest mystery from WWE's Twitch channel? Let us know down in the comments. This bizarre Twitch stream certainly caught the attention of fans, as well as those in the wrestling business, and Alexa Bliss had an interesting response at the time. During the stream, Bliss tweeted, "Hi, it's me, LOL," but that tweet wasn't up for long and has since been deleted by the missing superstar. Bliss didn't respond to a fan's accusation that she is aligned with Uncle Howdy and is given no context as to what her tweet meant if it wasn't a reference to the stream. Despite her connection to Bray Wyatt, Bliss's name isn't among those being reported for Howdy's faction, with Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Nikki Cross being named instead. Bliss hasn't appeared for WWE since January 2023 and gave birth to her daughter late last year, and we'll have to see what role Bliss has on TV once she and this faction are around. This week, WWE revealed that Ivar, Wesley, and Josh Briggs would do battle soon enough, with a shot at the NXT North American Championship on the line. That match, that'll air next week, has already been filmed, and without giving away the result, it was confirmed that when the bout happened, Ivar was pulled without an explanation. Now WWE is given an update as they tweeted that because of the attack by Gallus fans saw on this week's show, Ivar will be out of action indefinitely and has been pulled from the match. This is an interesting way to go about things, as it's unclear if this angle is to write Ivar off TV due to a real injury, or if this is just a kayfabe injury for the show. Ivar's tag team partner Eric has been out of action since September 2023 after undergoing neck fusion surgery, and Ivar has become quite the singles wrestler ever since. All we know for certain is that Ivar, like his tag team partner, won't be wrestling for the time being, and we'll try and get an update on his injury very soon. It was back in 2008 that Natalya Neidhart made her WWE main roster debut, and since then, the Canadian has become a veteran of the company and has held multiple titles. In more recent years, Natalya has taken on something of a mentor role in the company, helping the younger women hone their craft, but there's no questions about Natalya's future. While speaking on Fightful's The Hump, Sean Ross Sapp talked about Natalya's contractual status with WWE and shared that she'll be a free agent in a couple of weeks. Natalya is said to be in talks with WWE, but an agreement hasn't been reached yet between the two sides, and losing her would be quite the setback for the promotion. If she were to become a free agent, then we imagine there'd be no shortage of promotions lining up to work with her, but with that said, Natalya maintains a positive relationship with WWE. Whatever comes next, we should find out soon. And do you think she should re-sign, or perhaps join a promotion with an elite roster of its own? Let us know in the comments down below. Over to AEW next, as Swerve Strickland has certainly been on a roll since capturing the AEW World Championship, but with his new position comes a lot of new rules. Speaking to TMZ Sports, Strickland was asked about how his role has changed now that he's AEW World Champion, and said, "More media, more responsibility, a lot of the things that a lot of people can get away with, I don't get away with anymore. I can't just respond to everybody online, I can't call out people like that because now I'm representing All Elite Wrestling to the fullest extent. I'm not just representing myself, it's bigger than myself now. You know, All Elite Wrestling is not only just my culture, I've got to represent it in a certain different way, and I've got to understand it's bigger than me. So a lot of those selfish responses, those emotions, they kind of got to go to the side and understand what's the bigger picture." The bigger picture will see Strickland face Christian Cage at the upcoming Double or Nothing event, and the challenger will no doubt have the patriarchy in his corner. AEW is still a relatively new company, and Strickland is taking his role seriously. And what do you make of the rules that have come with his title reign? Sound off down in the comments. Last month, Javon Evans made his NXT in-ring debut and earned a lot of praise from the fans, and his efforts aren't going unnoticed by those in the Gold brand. Fightful Select reports that Evans continues to be held in high esteem by NXT officials, which may explain why the newcomer has been thrust into a program with Trick Williams. Rather than feud with Evans, Trick has seemingly taken Javon under his wing, and the two shared the screen on this week's NXT for Evans' match with Oro Mensah. Could we see Evans one day challenge Williams? Perhaps, but WWE is in no need to rush things for Javon, who continues to impress with every match he's had so far in NXT. We've got news from Tammy Sytch now, as the disgraced wrestling personality was sentenced to 17 years in prison earlier this year and isn't due to be released until January 2040. Despite her incarceration, Sytch was able to be a part of a recent interview with TMZ, and from behind bars, the former WWE Hall of Famer is dealing with some serious health issues. In the interview, Sytch recalled noticing swelling in her left leg, which went from her knees to her toes, but when she brought it up, weeks went by without any medical assistance. Sytch, who is diabetic, then found it increasingly difficult to walk after noticing a lump forming underneath her calf, and fears that this could prove to be a fatal situation, as she added, "All that's been going through my mind for the past 3 weeks is, oh my god, I'm gonna follow in my ex-husband's footsteps and die of a blood clot just like he did because I can't get medical treatment at this prison. It's pretty bad." Sytch will spend years behind bars, but is allowed to receive medical treatment, and the former wrestling personality is fearing the worst will happen in the not-too-distant future. This October, WWE NXT will move over to the CW network in the biggest deal the Gold brand has ever seen, and now more has come to light about the future of the show. As Variety were the first to report, NXT will remain on Tuesdays after the move to the CW, and it will also retain its 8 p.m. Eastern time slot, making the transition much easier for fans. For some time now, fans have speculated on a match between Brock Lesnar and Gunther, which was teased during the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble match. Earlier this year, though, Lesnar was pulled from all WWE plans due to his name being tied to Janelle Grant's lawsuit against WWE themselves, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis. Speaking to the Mail Online recently, Gunther was asked about the match and said that Lesnar, for a long time, was seen as the final boss of all of WWE. The Austrian added that he's more than up for a match against Lesnar, but isn't sure what'll happen given how the situation is exactly right now. Lesnar's future is uncertain, but we know what plans are in store for Gunther, as he'll face Jey Uso in a King of the Ring semifinals match on next week's Raw. If victorious, Gunther will face either Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, Tama Tonga, or LA Knight in Jeddah, but the Austrian still has one eye on a match with the missing Beast Incarnate. As we reported yesterday, Tiffany Stratton recently found herself in hot water when she tweeted a video of herself facing Jade Cargill, in which the ex-AEW star was called a black bitch. Stratton would delete the video in question, and right now, there has been no official statement from the SmackDown superstar, Cargill, or WWE themselves. Recently, a rumor surfaced online that her Queen of the Ring quarterfinals match scheduled for tonight had been cancelled, seemingly in response to the video, but that's not the case. If you go to WWE's website, you'll see that her upcoming match with Bianca Belair is still scheduled for tonight's episode of the Blue brand. Stratton's video may have been questionable, but it's important to call out fake news about her situation, and fans will get to see the former NXT Women's Champion on tonight's show. Back in 2017, Ric Flair suffered one of his most concerning health setbacks as he experienced a totally ruptured intestine and kidney failure, as well as respiratory heart failure and pneumonia. For a while, fans feared that they'd seen the last of the 16-time world champion, and while he did recover, WWE at the time weren't taking any chances. On Talk Is Jericho, AEW's senior production executive Mike Mansory spoke about Flair's 2017 situation as he was part of WWE at the time. Mansory revealed that Flair's family were providing regular updates to the company, and at one time, WWE planned 3 different versions of a single episode of Raw. These were a version of the show had Rick passed away before the show, a version if he passed away during the show, and one where he didn't pass away, which is what we saw. It's unclear how the other 2 episodes of Raw would have gone, though odds are there would have been a tribute video already made, and talent may have given video tributes to Flair. Thankfully, Flair recovered and was even on WWE TV that same year, but things got incredibly close back in 2017, which led WWE to take drastic action. The last time WWE fans saw Roman Reigns, it was at WrestleMania 40, and since his loss to Cody Rhodes, the Tribal Chief has been embarking on projects outside the ring. Reigns has recently been filming a new heist movie called Good Fortune, which will star Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, Keke Palmer, and others, and now he has another major project. As seen on SneakerFlies.com, Reigns and the Bloodline will be celebrated in an upcoming pair of Air Jordan 12 sneakers, which will go on sale in January 2025. To purchase a pair of the new sneakers, you'll have to pay $200, and we have to wonder if Reigns will be wearing a pair of the shoes the next time he appears on WWE programming. During this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, Christopher Daniels was fired by the Elite after the Young Bucks defeated Daniels and Matt Sydal, ending the Fallen Angels' 5-year tenure. This has been yet another power play by the Bucks, who are abusing their role as AEW EVPs, but this termination could potentially lead to the debut of a former WWE superstar. On Twitter, Sydal demanded that Daniels be rehired, saying he needs his tag team partner back on the roster, and a comment from Trevor Lee made clear he's interested in tagging with Matt. Lee was released from WWE very recently and is known for his time in the company as Cameron Grimes, during which he held the $1 Million title and the NXT North American Gold. Despite an impressive run in NXT, Lee floundered on the main roster before announcing in April that he had been released and is currently waiting out his 90-day non-compete clause. Because of that clause, Trevor Lee can't jump to AEW just yet, but do you think he'd do well in the All Elite company? And should Tony Khan give him a call? Sound off down in the comments. More from AEW now, as this week's Dynamite saw the company continue on the road to Double or Nothing, but the crowd attendance hardly painted the company in a positive light. Once again, the crowd attendance for the show was poor, as seen in photos doing the rounds on social media, with one side of the arena having just a handful of rows of fans. This photo is clearly not before the show went live either, as the in-ring segment between the House of Black and Adam Copeland can be seen, which obviously happened during the show. The Winds Arena in Everett, Washington has a maximum capacity of 10,000, but was set up to hold only 4,076 people, of which 3,459 tickets were distributed. Tony Khan remains determined to book massive venues, even if we've seen time and time again that the crowd size isn't there, which leads to unfortunate photos like these coming to light. WrestleMania news now, as this year's show was a huge success to say the least, and not long after, it was reported that a documentary was in the works about WWE's 40th show of shows. Recently, it was reported that the release of the doc had been delayed as The Rock had to give his final approval of the project, but that isn't the case, according to Brian Gewirtz. During an appearance on The Masked Men show, Gewirtz admitted that the project had been delayed, but stressed it was for other circumstances and not down to The Rock. The final boss, according to Gewirtz, isn't holding the doc hostage and looking through every frame, but he did admit WWE made an error by promoting it so soon after WrestleMania 40. Gewirtz said that this project went from an 11-minute video to over an hour long, and while we don't know when it'll be released, The Rock apparently isn't to blame. And we're ending today with Bianca Belair, who has become one of the most successful women in wrestling competing today, but she hasn't forgotten her roots. Before she was tearing it up in the ring, Belair was an athlete who competed in track, and on Instagram was pleased to reveal that she has donated a set of hurdles to her old high school. Belair was able to meet with Sam Anderson, her coach and mentor during her athletics days, and gushed about how Anderson always believed in her no matter what. That faith was well warranted, as Belair is one of the top women in her field today, but she'll always be grateful to where she came from.